Hey, it's Mitchell Millennial. In today's video, I'm going to cover how much money you need to move to Hanoi, Vietnam, and start teaching. Before we jump into that, go ahead, hit the subscribe button down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you loved it, think about sharing it. Now to get back into budget. When you first land in Hanoi, you're probably going to be staying in a hotel or a hostel. I was able to find a couple different hotels in the Old Quarter for between $9 and $13 US per night for my own private room. Now, these places weren't particularly luxurious, but they were quiet, relatively clean. I stayed in the Old Quarter for about 3.5 weeks. About $200 or so for lodging if you look to stay between 2 and 3 weeks before finding a place to move in. Look to spend anywhere between $10 to $20 per day on food. If you're vegetarian or vegan, that price is definitely going to be more expensive than if you're willing to eat Vietnamese food. Being that I am living in Vietnam and I do enjoy trying new food and I do enjoy Vietnamese food, I oftentimes normally just eat Vietnamese food and I'll have a Western meal 1 to 2 times a week if I really desire it. But by and large, I'm pretty happy with the food that I have here that's local. And you can spend anywhere between $1 to $3 a meal for a traditional Vietnamese dish and a beverage. If you have strict dietary constraints, expect to spend $20 a day. So if you're here for 3 weeks, that's going to be about $200 to $250 that you can expect to spend on food or beer, or food and beer in the course of 2 to 3 weeks while looking for a job. While you're living in the Old Quarter, I'm going to go create a couple of links to different Facebook groups that have housing options in Hanoi, but you can look to spend anywhere between $175 and $300 a month for your own private room in a 5 to 6 bedroom house. Those things can vary a little bit depending upon price, but I would say that is the normal or average price that you can expect. The next expense that you are going to need to deal with is transportation. Now, I wanted to buy a motorcycle. I actually own 2 motorcycles now. It's something that I kind of look at as a hobby as well as a piece of transportation. But you can look to spend anywhere between $200 to $400 on either a motorcycle or a scooter. If you buy a motorcycle or a scooter from another Western person, be advised it might not be a legal vehicle because oftentimes Western people get ripped off by locals when it comes to selling vehicles without blue cards or fake blue cards. I was lucky enough to get a bike that was in pretty good condition from another American who had traveled around Vietnam with a blue card, numbers matching, and my Vietnamese local friends that I have shown the bike to all agree that the blue card looks pretty legit and it's probably a legal bike. So at this point, you're looking at about $500 to $600 for a place to stay for 2 weeks before you find permanent housing, although you could probably find permanent housing within a week of arrival, and $200 to $400 for transportation. Now there's tons of different services that will rent you a scooter. Those services will be anywhere between $50 to $80 a month, and they will do all of the maintenance on the bikes, brakes, oil, etc. So if you want to buy your own, mechanics here are pretty cheap. If you just want to pay a monthly fee and have the convenience of a vehicle that will always work, then any of those rental services are recommended. The next expense that you are likely to deal with when coming to Hanoi, Vietnam is going to be getting a TEFL. Now, while it is not imperative that you have a TEFL certificate, if you do go ahead and go through and get a TEFL certificate, it will be significantly easier to get a better job here in Vietnam. A lot of centers that don't care if the teachers have TEFL certificates or experience are oftentimes in smaller cities. There's a lot of different options when getting your TEFL. There are other YouTubers that have programs for $1,000. You come out to Hanoi, you have a hands-on learning experience, and they make sure that you have a job after completion of your TEFL certificate. Or you could do what I did and spend the $130 and do a TEFL course online. There's even cheaper TEFL courses. If you look up cheap TEFL courses online, you can find some of these. Make sure they are accredited because Not all of them are created equal, but the one that I chose was approximately $150. I completed it within 3 to 4 weeks with moderate help from my friends who were already teaching. So the TEFL course, while it's not a requirement, it will make finding your job a lot easier, and budget that for about $150. Now you're at about $750 for a place to stay in Hanoi for a couple weeks, buying a motorcycle and completing your TEFL, which means that you're more than halfway to getting a job teaching. The next expense that you can expect to encounter when coming to Vietnam is professional clothing. And I know this might sound silly, but I have seen other travelers walk into job interviews wearing elephant pants with dreadlocks and tank tops. While I have nothing against elephant pants or dreadlocks, that's not what future employers are necessarily looking for. For all of my job interviews, I wore a button-down long sleeve shirt with a bow tie and khaki pants. I got offered jobs for all of the interviews that I went on with 0 teaching experience and 0 TEFL certificate. Like it or not, appearance plays a huge part when finding a job in Hanoi, especially if you have no experience. If you have absolutely no dress clothing when you get to Vietnam, expect to spend anywhere between $10 to $15 to go out and get at least one presentable outfit. Once you start teaching, some places have dress codes. Very few of them are fully enforced, but at least for the interview, you have to look sharp. So that brings the grand total to roughly $1,000 US for you to go ahead and move to Vietnam, start teaching, and set up a new life for yourself. Now, reasons why you might want to live here and start teaching is going to be in another video I will link somewhere else over here. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it gave you some insight as to the cost of startup in Hanoi. For more videos like this, go ahead, smash the thumbs up button. If you loved it, think about subscribing. I've been Mitchell Millennial. Till next time, I'm out.